Ladies and gentlemen, good morning, good morning. November 18th, 2022. November 18, 2022. Of course, with me today, I get Cashbox right now. Come recruiter, go join me later, People's Power. Hopefully, brother Chen above the African Express self get for joining me. But right now, I get the pleasure now for introduce me big brother. I will call him big brother because I will get the same name. I can talk and say Intoma, Ibrahim. So I think Intoma.
Yes.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
Basically, I am the stranger right now.
I don't think so. You're part of this fight, my brother. It's just happy cinema. But actually, your problem is much more bigger. Alfred name. That name. When you left for us. Anyways.
They don't know that name. They don't know.
Yes. But APC people, Sierra Leoneans as a whole, because this is bigger than just APC. The reason why we bring lawyer Ibrahim Sori over the past few days, we don't tell when I say, lawyer Ibrahim Sori is the man where we all pay attention to now. He is the godfather at this particular point in time, and the man will be tasked with the responsibility for take the APC into the lower level elections leading up to the conventions. And I know say una the APC people, una need some relief. Una need for we call una heart small, una heart warm. We don't say una get for stop the momentum, una keep the momentum going, una keep the fire going. But I just want to let brother Ibrahim Sori, you just can't tell una hello, let una sabi in voice, let una hear in voice, let himself talk to una, let give una assurance for say yes, the APC is on the right trajectory, on the right path for move forward, for let we forget with lower level elections and conventions. Lawyer Ibrahim Sori, the floor is yours, sir.
Thank you very much, my brothers. Thank you for the very quick introduction. And I just want to greet everybody, both at home and out of the country, and wishing all a very blessed Friday and a blessed weekend. I know that there is a lot of anxiety right now within APC, particularly amongst the members and the supporters. But I want to assure you and say that we are working hard to overcome all the obstacles, all the challenges that we face for make we start the election process. And that me hopeful that this committee we are at the head will be constituted and go start them work by God in own power sometime next week. And I want to assure all that once this committee starts in work, that we go act very quickly, we go act very fairly, and we go act very transparently. And I just want for also remind we supporters and we members, say APC, in as much as right now everything look a bit confusing, I want to know say APC in your history is we not a win election without struggling. That is why we say in the struggles of APC, there is victory for us all. There is victory not only for the APC, there is victory for Sierra Leone. So I want to advise everybody for stay calm, for stay very peaceful, for be very law abiding by the grace of God. Whatever obstacles or challenges they would face would be being addressed, and hopefully this committee will all man want for make it starting work very soon. So that is my message to you all. I thank you all for the attention.
Thank you. Yes, sir. Thank you. Kashi, close up for we because Lord Ibrahim, sorry, me family, me very busy. And then run for going to another meeting right now. So we're not going for asking a lot of questions. But in due time, we can talk to we in detail about this whole thing. But like I will say no more this stuff just for can give you the assurance now and I say at this particular point, the time when at the transitional interim, independent, one way or the other, one can before the other electoral management committee. Now the body then we get for take the APC party to lower level elections and conventions. Yeah. So Kashi, tell brother Ibrahim sorry bye for we and let's take it from there.
I mean, thank you very much, Lawyer Ibrahim. I mean, of course, you know the people of APC or to some extent the people of Salone actually need them what they are, and we always say, the stability of we country na ingo thrive, na ingo kind of drive we country to the success where we all the yearn for. So I believe say the people kind of we rely on you and they trust you. Say I mean which you just don't say by next week or so when I go start and anything will be very transparent. And like the consoling word that you just gave there, APC, they win election in an easy way. Maybe these are signs because these are a natural sign. And we just want to say thank you very much and good luck in your endeavor, and make sure, and then we wish you all the best in making sure that APC will kind of like achieve the goal come 2023. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All
Thank
right.
you for having me. Thank you.
You're
God
welcome,
bless.
sir. Yes, sir.
Thank
Have a good day, big brother. We'll go call you later, yeah? Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, salon for people, Lord Ibrahim, sorry, of course, I know the kind of question I want to ask. But right now, na man we get for play a very independent role, sound like say, but we get for can talk to we in detail because the confusion on all side the problem there. This deviant, this rebel, we can for pull the APC party, but we left for the first. Let we had no one this morning. We can continue to the second part of we message shortly.
Sorry, Lord Ibrahim.
So Fabule, na the word that from we lawyer Ibrahim, sorry, na the person we get for lead the APC party into the lower level elections. And so that what he say, what do you think about what lawyer Ibrahim sorry say? And by the way, we brother of the African Express, Mr. Chino Majuba, Chino Alpha Emba, don't come join we. Follow can continue this conversation this morning. But what do you think before I even go with the dates of the election and everything? What do you think about lawyer Ibrahim sorry?
Well, we don't dey judge anybody at this time, Ibrahim. We just hope no more say. Like stick to what he said, that then they start their work next week, not to work with one theory, then they start the lower level election, because Ibrahim, time not that in favor anymore, because out of 60 days, they're already almost at 20 days and they can't take so. So 40 days for letting them make the lower level election for the entire country. That in favor. So they just hope to say let them just go ahead by voting in the do.
Exactly. I think Cashbox forget say they this call it a callback. But anyways, come try for see if you go get your attention. Beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. So some people we can move to the next part of the conversation now. When I read that first side, we get with brother, like how we say, brother Chinoba of the African Express. But by the way, before I even brother Chinoba of the African Express, I just want to remind everybody again. Kashi, we got about 214 days left to elections now. Look like Cash is on mute there.
No, sorry, it's 217.
Oh, sorry, 217. Okay, hey, bro, with the pusher now.
Yeah.
When me now me the pusher. I tell you.
Yeah, 217.
So 217 days left. Salon people, 217 days left. We see the next chairman don't pull the report of the registrants, the registration, the amount of figures and everything. We get for discuss that in detail. At some point, if we not discuss in detail today, but of course, we brother Chino Bass and go past that area there. But we don't see all that, Andy, and we get for analyze them in due course. But Salon people, I want to remember 217 days left to elections. APC gets 60 days for conduct lower level elections, but at this particular point in time, what can happen? We see 16 days, almost 18 days don't go, because the rules they mature November 1st. 18 days don't go now, nothing is happening. But again, until lawyer Ibrahim sorry say, but we're gonna left Andy. Now Law can continue with conversation for today. It don't take small, brother African Express of the your channel bar, no don't come for put parliament out there. Salon people, and this parliament what we get. The kind of corrupt bills them and laws them when they don't put in place for destroyed democracy. We all know what happened in 1964 to 1967. Well, but my guy of the SLPPK with all the bad laws them. Even some of the laws where the police they cut today. The 1965, our Public Order Act will not for user again because the 1991 Constitution supersedes the 1965 Public Order Act. They still use them. They still cut them. And all the judges, when you look at the Twitter page of the judiciary, they still use them and they cut that 1965 Public Order Act today. Then they jail people for they call a riotous conduct. People that will protest, the August 10 protest and all of that nonsense where we all know say yes, but in the jail people unconstitutionally, just like that, using all those bad laws them. But Salon people we're going to make these points very clear now. At the end of the day, this parliament is sowing seeds again for bring disaster, for bring mayhem, for bring war. Because you know what you do? They don't be understand. They don't be suffer the pains where the poor people suffer. The one who they cut their hand, cut their foot them. They like get in there and preach the woman in Bel Air. Then cut them, pick their hand with a CN and the country, handicap them all over the place. They are all beggars. They don't even take care of them people there. The state for protect them people here. The state for provide for them people here. The state for feed them people here. Take care of them. Give them housing. Give them everything. But then people here they pass na treat pan bigger na peddler life in the pan. Waiting do because the one them were actually people suffer the effects of the bad laws they were they pass the and they all run away. They not be there. They don't feel the pain where the people of Salon feel. Salon people them that the same laws them the parliament they pass out today for disenfranchised people 20 years from now, 10 years from now, 5 years from now.
Ibrahim, what you they talk so the people are very responsible. I guarantee you all these people that are responsible now, since they're going to pass that constituency, like the likes of Ali Kaba, where they're going to pass that constituency right now, they go even the ace then glass by the people, and because many people are not can hear them. When are they very one cause the people in demise right now?
Absolutely, absolutely, and that is a fact. That is a fact. Now I make we come here with a talk. Our brother, the African Express, we're not calling the B-52 bomber for nothing. I don't see B-52 live. I know it is Talek. When you see that plane, you see magnanimity. When you see that plane, you see terror. I don't see him. Why should they call and say the B-52 of our times? For let the parliament like today, they get somebody like African Express, Brother Chenoba, they get an open goal for take down the SLPP, the APC leadership, the APC leader of parliament, not even for use any of them thing and they, any of the publications them, any of the findings, any of the facts, any of the check numbers, the account numbers, the details, the teller number. And then for use at today against the SLPP and Marabio because they've been compromised. But I'm going to bring the brother again today, Brother African Express, Chenoba, like I open up the floor for we. Waiting parliaments don't do. Because I don't remember August 8th, 9, 10, when they put that protest there, then they pass them bad laws them. When I remember when parliaments come for tell we say how they know the PR system, the NIN number, they don't discontinue on the parliaments. Then they talk about that again. When I remember all that in there, then what can happen? All of a sudden, we can see they use the NIN number as a mandatory requirement for let people register for elections. They disenfranchised hundreds of thousands of people when they register for these elections here. So, but nobody can discuss these things here with we. It don't take small like you an overview, and then we'll take it from there. You know, go ahead, Brother Chenoba. Talk to us, sir.
Yeah. Thank you very much for bringing me again today, and I appreciate the work that they do. I always we commend Rula for the good work and providing information to the people of Sierra Leone. It's not it's not an easy thing right now, especially within a world-wide a real discussion there. The media alone decide for exclude them out of the conversation. So we really appreciate the fact that provide the people with the opportunity for get real voices out there. So you already don't sum this thing up. You don't summarize them for the people. Everybody remembers, say, the last time. This was way back in June. May, June, where we tell people and say the members of parliament may try for pass secretly a number of bills and a number of laws them, and that may include the election law. We don't talk about that, and people and see how we all make effort, the whole world make effort for try for get to parliament, and then for the first time for do something right for the people. And even at that, they come out and lie to the people then, because they tell people and say they don't remove the the identification number and all of the bad provisions that within the public elections law, which we can find out later that are lie. When the election registration process starts, the Electoral Commission not only conduct the registration in a way not required by law, but we can find out say everything we will be in the try for prevent Parliament not for do that Parliament decides for make it to law. Basically, in a Parliament give the Electoral Commission the authorization for carry out or make it difficult for people to register. That the first time in the history of the country, at least since the end of the war, when we get a situation where people and therefore citizens of get for fight for registration turn war, turn fight. You get people that we want for register, first time voters we want for register. You get an electoral commission will decide not to register them. And even now, it take over the required period for even produce the register, the provisional voters register, that's a problem. So when the registration also happen, we don't highlight to the Parliament and the government and the Anti-Corruption Commission, the fact say the Electoral Commission will account for over $10 million when not spent in procurement. Up to now, members of parliament make pretend say that's not even the part of the news. And that's a significant aspect of the news. Any serious parliament, any serious politician, especially an opposition politician, we want for kind of power. No go here, say the Electoral Commission, we're supposed to conduct election, free and fair election, don't misappropriate over $10 million. They will account for over $10 million in procurement, not follow the procurement rules, not follow the procurement laws. Exaggerate invoice. They ignore that evidence. If a commission not able to handle public funds properly, how that commission and commissioners and the electoral people and they will guarantee, give people and the guarantee say they will conduct free and fair elections. Up to now, Parliament don't come into session, then don't even pretend say that they invite ECSL and all the other people they have can talk about matters of the Constitution, and proportional representation, and they against on constitutionality, but they not ever talk about or question the ECSL regarding the publication of evidence we get for do with the theft or the misappropriation of over $10 million. So you see, the question is, the members of parliament, they're still not able to work correctly for the people. Not to a war, all over the world, if a member of parliament says no aware of what the people they want, and citizens will vote for them, decide for, ask them, say, we'll do this, then they do them immediately. These are the only parliament where we know. The only parliament, members of the opposition where we know in the world, where they become offended when citizens remind them of the responsibility and the duties where they're supposed to do. So, up to now, when members of parliament would inspect the electoral commission and ask them questions about the misuse of public money. They not ever ask ECSL why ECSL decided to carry out electoral registration in a difficult way. In fact, as far as we know, the only pretentious move where they make like talk say they want for interrogate proportional representation. We will not talk about how proportional representation, in fact, it benefit members of parliament, especially small parties in parliament, than the ruling party itself. When I don't see civil society organizations that write letter, they say these are civil society people that we would not say they're already the government supporters, the ruling party supporters. Most of them, when you check them, you find out say now members of the SLPP or sympathizers of the SLPP. Now they may go to parliament now they pretend say that they represent their voices. Then the right say they're okay with the proportional representation. Basically, the members of parliament want to provide the justification why proportional representation might be part of the electoral process. So that's a different discussion. They watch them for see how they will resolve their own interest against the interest of the people then. So what didn't really I want to talk about is the fact that the public elections bill where we fight against Parliament of do according to what you say. When I already experienced the difficulties when I get during registration. Now we don't come to a point where we highlight when I say all that dangerous laws that may be, and that include the Political Parties Act, the Political Parties Law, the fact that Parliament also, they're not be the only try for change the Public Elections Act of 2012, they also try for change the Political Parties Act of 2002. Then they try for introduce, or they already begin for introduce, a new law where for give PPRC more powers, more say in the activities of political parties. Now, as I see, from where APC come on power, for example, they will function effectively as an opposition party because PPRC help for disable the APC. PPRC participate in the process, just like how the courts do, the police and all the people there, for make the opposition able function. Now, what are members of parliament do instead of for talk about even the reduction of the powers of the PPRC and for also hold PPRC to task, inviting a parliament to make question there regarding their unfair treatment of political parties. The PPRC, in this case, they together with parliamentarians, they say they want new law. We forgive them more power, more say, change the constitution for them. And then now they introduce what they call the Political Parties Act of 2022. The law, when they pass them completely, it will be difficult for form a political party, more difficult for register a new political party. It will give the Electoral Commission, in fact now they change the name from Political Parties Registration Commission to Political Parties Regulation Commission. That's a major change in the constitution. And the change of name also imply the assumption of new powers. Up to now, from May, where this bill did at Parliament, June, July, August, September, October, November, that's 6 months. When the members of Parliament not able to tell you now, voting inside the law, where they want pass, why they want for changing the Political Parties Act. Then they tell you saying that EU, we don't tell them for changing. No, EU tell them for make electoral reform and political reforms for make them increase people in participation and make democracy work. They not tell them for make them change the law, then for make them make democracy very tedious and difficult. Just like how the cyber law. The idea of national security, again, don't make the way decide, say, then they increase more powers for the police, for make the police get the power and the security sector get the power for harass anybody that want for harass in the name of national security. Now they introduce another law where they in front of them, where they call the National Security and Central Intelligence Act of 2022, where they change an existing law where they have been passed in 2002. So apart from the Public Elections Act, we already get the Political Parties Act, with a one law we get for change how we form political party, make it difficult for people to participate in politics. It will significantly affect people and right to political association. But at the same time, when we criticize and they complain about the Cyber Act, now they try to pass another law way almost dangerous more than the Cyber Act, and that law is the National Security and Central Intelligence Act. The law where they allow police officers, anybody concerned about national security, to enter any person house and take a computer or your telephone, similar to what we get at the cyber legislation.
Perfect.
All of them laws are anti-democratic laws, and laws the way they reduce democracy, and laws the way they undermine people and human rights, and laws the way we make the next government, whosoever the next government is going to be, will become a dictatorial government, because they will get all kinds of law. The most disappointing part is the fact that the current opposition, especially the APC, that they will lead the process for amend the 1991 Constitution. We get a Constitutional Review Committee. All man suggest up to the last minute that not become law. The Constitution not change. Now, instead of in the last 5 years, they press for make we actualize the Constitutional Review, they don't add more secondary legislation there, more laws there. Now we strengthen the dictatorial tendency within the Constitution, and then laws that we already know them. They include the Cyber Act. We replace the Public Order Act with a more dangerous law, with the Public Elections Act. We don't make it difficult for people to register for vote. Now they try to pass the Political Parties Act. In addition to the Political Parties Act, they also get the National Security and Central Intelligence Act. All these, when members of Parliament not ever tell you within the inside the law they are, how the laws they are going to affect the country, how they're going to affect to democracy, how they're going to affect to our rights as citizens. So what is the way we raise them here for making them pretend say that they do well, what they don't do the last 2 days, in fact. Instead of a commander to explain you now, and answer to the question why the opposition unanimously decide, for example, last week Friday, for past voting and call the constitutional amendment, we changed the PPRC, the name, then introduced our parliament the gender bill. And this time legislation we don't do it for how many months? They don't catch ourselves, they can pass it now. And yesterday and even today, even now, then they continue for discuss what we can call the Civic Education and Democracy Bill, where they become an act. Basically, this is why we legalize the existence of the National Council for Civic Education, which they call NACED, with an institution which don't even exist for the last 5 years without the legislation. So now they passed law for turning into a commission, basically legalize them. So the question for members of parliament, in fact, why they're not being started, why Madabi not being start force by passing the legislation, we forgive the committee, we for make that entity the legal entity before ever they start operation. Now the institution, NACED, don't exist, don't operate for almost 5 years. Towards the end of the first time of the government, I turned out the Duncan go law at parliament for make the council a legal commission. So the question is, although the president get the power for appoint anybody, the president not create an existing commission, an existing institution without the approval of parliament. Absolutely. So that don't clearly tell we say all of the salaries, all of the funding where this institution don't receive in the last 4 to 5 years now was done illegally. It's an illegal funding because parliament not approved the allocation of money to an institution that is not illegal, that's not the result of illegal operation. Now it's different for say parliament president appoints also person. The president can only create an institution, an MDA, through parliamentary approval. And this don't clearly tell we say the National Council of Civic Education and what they call NACED, we don't they go about. They talk about civic education where nobody don't even know about. And now they try for pass law in the parliament for making them a legal entity under the Ministry of Economic Development. So the question is now under which what was the legal basis for the existence of that particular council as an institution of government, not just the person where the head and the director of civic education and get to. They get all the staff them waiting to try for call for now, seek law for legalize. So this all don't happen because Parliament has not been doing its job. Parliament has ignored all of this. That is why they talk say there is no way you could blame Madabi for the corruption and the constitutional violations that take place at the country, the destruction of the economy, without the involvement and endorsement of Parliament. And this is a clear example. Any serious Parliament, they don't even talk about the debate for give NACED, for example, a legal authority for exist, then for begin the review first, the basis under which exists. And the same thing again you get with DSTI. The DSTI is functioning as an institution without legal authorization. This discussion will be now raised. Absolutely. And this no challenge, it's not the same as the president having the power to appoint somebody to work in government.
Right. And this is David Shenge. Right.
The president cannot create an institution of government without parliamentary approval, cannot create an MDA without parliamentary approval. No. Both this NACED where they try for give law now, the National Council for Civic Education, and the DSTI, where responsible for scientific research, they are functioning as institutions receiving funding, even though as an extension of ministries, but at the same time, they do not have the legal authority for exist as the institutions in which, in the capacity as institutions in which they have been operating for the last 4 to 5 years. So these are all constitutional violations. They are all constitutional infractions that we Parliament don't close their eyes on. So the way it is similar, the monies and funding that has gone to these institutions in the last 4 to 5 years is similar to the funding received, or that is being received by the so-called Office of the First Lady, which is not a legal entity. So not surprised if they sit on back before this government done, they said they pass law in the Parliament for make the Office of the First Lady a legal entity. They will kind of go, this is a bill. We will talk say, we are now turning the Office of the First Lady into a legal entity. Now we'll get a First Lady, a First Ladies Act, or an act to establish the Office of the First Lady as an arm of government, or as an institution of government. So these are all part of the process to legalize corruption will not take place. Instead of a whole government responsible, they are passing laws for excuse these people that will cause these constitutional violations in future, and also pass laws for strengthening the anti-democratic environment. These are laws that always the opposition they can pass, hoping that they can inherit the next government or form a government in the future, and the law that this way they take a plan for use against the people, against the country. So we therefore be very concerned. Now, last Friday, the Minister of Finance go before Parliament, present the appropriation bill, the way for becoming the Appropriation Act. Basically, they ask Parliament for better get the authorization for spend money for 2023. These are the same Parliament we approved the 2022 budget. We approved a supplementary budget in June, even though they know say the country not get for over about a year and not get an audit service. Because what's an audit service? An audit service can only be spoken about when you get an Auditor General who is qualified, a chartered accountant qualified, appointed by the President, scrutinized and approved by Parliament. Now, November last year, a year ago, the President of Sierra Leone unlawfully, unconstitutionally dismissed the Auditor General and the Deputy Auditor General and sent them away. Parliament has never questioned that process because Parliament talks say, oh, the case did a court. They don't set up a tribunal, so Parliament will intervene. This is a clear evidence of Parliament's complicity in the violation of the transparency mechanism that is in the country. Now, if Parliament say the tribunal will set up for supposedly investigate the Auditor General, now they prevent them from looking into the matters of the Auditor General. Now, they can also say if they not solve the audit service issue, Parliament should not move forward with the approval of a new Appropriation Act, not forgive the Minister of Finance the right for spend money or ask for money or for raise money again. And until Parliament approve that, then the Minister of Finance no go get the right and the legal authority for pass for spend one leon from the country money. So Parliament cannot approve a new Appropriation Act when they're not satisfied, say, the money will be approved last year, the budget will be approved last year, including supplementary budget where they had increased in June 2022. There has not been any audit. And we not get no opportunity for get an audit because the audit service not get Auditor General. The current acting Auditor General was never approved by Parliament. It's not even qualified. Even we don't see that the court papers then say the President decide for dismiss, suspend the Auditor General in the middle of the audit exercise, which means that the last year report was not only a fake report, was an incomplete report submitted by Parliament, submitted by the audit service to Parliament. Parliament not even bother for investigate, say the content of the report, a fake report. Because nobody will not qualify. Lara say not completing an audit exercise. So if Lara Taylor Pierce never completed the audit exercise, how did Aziz in 1 month present a report to Parliament? Parliament has never discussed the report, has never investigated what happened to the report, why there has never been a report. Then Parliament went ahead 6 months after that, almost 7 months after that, and approved a supplementary budget for Parliament, for the Ministry of Finance. Now the Minister of Finance don't go to Parliament on Friday again. They ask Parliament for GIAM and new appropriation, the authorization for spend money next year. The question is, has the monies that Parliament approved, have they been spent genuinely? They don't use them correctly? The appropriations of last year to now, they don't use them correctly? Why Parliament even give the minister an additional budget, a supplementary budget, when they know say we don't get audit service for check for see how they spend money? You cannot approve the use of money when money that you approved in the last period has not been audited. We don't get an audit statement for sure say government did not use money correctly. So these are if Parliament really serious about the audit service and the Auditor General's case, then get an opportunity here, 1,000,000% opportunity for address the issue of the audit service. How they can do that is by telling the Minister of Finance that they cannot move ahead with the Appropriation Act if the question of the audit service has not been addressed. Now, apart from Lara Taylor Pierce and Tamba Momo, there are dozens and dozens, more than 100 internal auditors who have been dismantled from the civil service, from the Ministry of Finance to State House, even at the Bank of Salone. the government is silently harassing people in the Bank of Sierra Leone with the knowledge of Parliament. Parliamentarians, they know, because now they don't move from audit service for talks about audit service with the Gay African Express documents. Now they go to the Bank of Sierra Leone. Since we publish details of the corruption at ECSL, at the Electoral Commission, the Bank of Sierra Leone, Minister of Finance, they are still under serious fire. Then they investigate and they harass the workers, and the parliamentarians know about this. Because then things say, by harassing people in the civil service, that are the only way where the details of this corruption will stop for Comonado. Now, I believe say, most of them they regret, because they feel say the audit service, now the conveyor belt for African Express information. They not only say that, they talk openly, both the members of the opposition, the supporters, the leaders, and ruling party supporters and the leaders, and talk openly, not to pretend they write about it in these papers. Now it don't turn out 1 year later, after the so-called dismissal or suspension of Lara Tilopias, the African Express is functioning. Now they talk about audit service. I know they don't regret, they're not ashamed now. So parliamentarians owe the people of Sierra Leone a responsibility for make sure say they correct the audit service issue. We cannot allow the use of public money without the existence of an audit mechanism. So that this is one for remind people you have to tell your MPs, say, will they wash it now? They no go talk, say they no get power. If they have the power to approve a budget, government will use money without parliamentary approval. And we know say the guy that must go back, then they go to parliament all the time where they go, the budget go. In fact, the most dishonest thing we then do, now the day where they say the Minister of Finance they go before them to present the Appropriation Act, now the very day the parliamentarians then vote unanimously, agree say they for amend the constitutional instrument where for change the name of the commission from Political Parties Registration Commission to Political Parties Regulation Commission. Basically, they never try for pass the dangerous political parties law by by Connie Rabbit business. So this kind of way of running a country, a very dangerous way. And you have people in the opposition, their supporters, their members defending this anti-democratic situation where they affect the entire country. That is not patriotism. So I just want to give these highlights and for talk say the efforts that we initiated way back in June, where alert people about Parliament and make them begin pay attention to Parliament or the members of Parliament. Even with that noise they would make globally, with the attention we don't pay to Parliament, still Parliament they continue the kuku business. The secret society affair for past dangerous law, smuggle through dangerous policies. Now they try to cover them up by passing the Gender Act, by pretending they are democratizing the legislation which allow civic education to exist. In fact, by so doing, the ongoing discussion or effort for create an act where for legalize the existence of the National Council for Civic Education in itself, don't clearly underline the illegalities, the illegal way under which the president create the National Council for Civic Education, where don't they go about the country, they receive billions of leones in budgetary allocation for the last 4 to 5 years. The question is, if now they realize that they need a law, why do they give money to such an institution? Not the only institution, no. You get also the DSTI. Similarly, then create them, getting staff, getting independent operation when it has no legislation way conditional. The president get the power to appoint anybody into a public office. But the president does not have the power to create an MDA without parliamentary approval. And we get 2 examples here. The creation of the National Council for Civic Education without a parliamentary approval and legislation, and the creation of the DSTI as an institution of government without parliamentary approval. And now, you see the case of the NASED, now they try for parliament to give a law now for making it a legal entity. Absolutely. On which basis were they receiving public funds? So these are the kind of things and where you begin bringing to the notice. These are then the vex. And this is not how you run government. Governments all over the world function according to the constitution, according to the laws. Democracy cannot operate without following the law, the rule of law. Anybody where they run a country without regard for the rule of law, without regard for the constitution, is not basically running a government. It's running an enterprise of gangsters. And at that one day we don't get. And at this make we always put Parliament as part of this process because they know, say, not to show government they run. They always complain, say, when they can't for do something right, they're powerless. Now we don't come for no. Parliamentarians are not only powerful, they endorse, they accept, they are okay with the ongoing violation of democratic principles, the laws, and the way in which the rule of law for enhanced democracy and transparency and accountability. They don't care about that. So now this is we just want to bring we up to speed with, and for say even now when they wind up, with the type of prayer say make this time now, don't make this parliament all man clear out and come out. The parliament is making sure they are going to pass more dangerous legislations up to the last day where they go try to come out now power. That's what they are doing. They are covering up this situation by pretending they want to do something right. If they're really serious about doing something right, they will have set up an inquiry into the corruption at the ECSL, try to get ECSL to do something right. In the parliamentary debate, we've been careful to do with the passing of the New Elections Act, which caused the problem. The parliamentary leader of the opposition talk openly, say, he praised the ECSL, saying a good institution. This time, even a few weeks after the problematic by-election will be happen at Samaya Bendu. In Parliament, Chairman Ramadan Majuba, for example, grabbed and praised the Electoral Commission, saying that they make the election Samaya Bendu at Tonkolili district, the by-election come out good and come out well. Basically, take away the praise where people exert their stamp their foot, say, regardless of violence, we will vote and vote that we want. And the international community, their effort, the local diplomats in the country, their effort for ensure that they help with for monitor elections and ensure transparency in elections. It transfer the accolade to the Electoral Commission and praise them. So these people have no problem with what is happening. They have a problem with the fact that when they call them out, when they try to show the people and say they are not working in the interest of the public. And we still remind the members of the opposition, the citizens of Sierra Leone, for pay attention keenly to what they go in the parliament. That is where the future of the country is being destroyed. That is the institution that is responsible for the ongoing thriving of corruption and lack of accountability in government. So now this will be one for add to the discussion and say, if really Parliament is serious about doing something right, it's not just about the gender bill. It's not just about that. They have before them, they should be talking about the harmonization of salaries. They should be talking about the passing of the law where for establish the Wages and Compensation Commission. The bill has been there in Parliament all these years. Instead, voting Parliament they try to talk about last time, now for pass a law for increase the new salaries and benefit, the new conditions. They not talk about making it a law and create the Wages and Compensation Commission as an institution, then decide say now what they do that for pass law for legalize the existence of an entity that has been receiving money, the National Council. They not talk about how for pass the law way for making now say we set up a commission. We for the look at people in salary, harmonize salaries, and look at benefits of the public sector workers. And this will benefit everybody in the country. It will benefit nurses, it will benefit doctors, it will benefit teachers, it will benefit university lecturers, it will benefit the ordinary civil service worker. People who have been in the public sector, public service, genuine workers in the way they sacrifice for working in the country. For the last 30, 40 years, they've invested their future in the service with no salaries. Some of them with their master's degrees are still earning less than 5 million leones. When political party appointees, illiterates who just support political parties, appointed into government offices are getting 20-something million leones, 30 million leones a month. We don't publish these salaries. Members of Parliament are not worried. When it came to the question of salaries, what did they do? They decided to pass a law for create more benefits for them, increase the benefit and condition of service. Now, then they try to pass law for legalize the existence of the National Council for Civic Education, which has been receiving regular budgetary support. They spend public money for the last 4 to 5 years. The question is, if they really care about the country, why have they not addressed the question of salaries for public sector workers, civil servants? We don't work. Working in civil service in Sierra Leone is like a sentence to poverty. It's a license to poverty. This is why corruption is thriving. They know that one way for address these issues, now for
talk about the question of the wages and compensation for workers, especially public sector workers, civil servants, and people who have been sacrificing. Now, cabinet said they don't pass a paper, then they don't forward a bill to Parliament. Why can Parliament not approve the Wages and Compensation Commission bill and create the commission where we will harmonize salaries across the civil service? This could solve the problem of salaries for soldiers, salary for police officers, salaries for fire force people, everybody's salaries in the country, teachers. They don't want to do that. Now entity, now small institution where Mother Bio create illegally, appoint people and they know they do nothing. No civic education not happen in the country. Now they go pass law for make a legal entity. Now that they want to make like say because they talk say Parliament is not fulfilling its mandate, it's not educating people. Then they go hold small meeting in Parliament, say non civil society will make Parliament open. Now say more pass law, may not talk say anymore that dangerous story they pass more pass one law where they talk say woman they will don't give them 30%. Now more pass another law where they try to make say we open to civic education. Because now all the people that talk about civic education, we they open a platform and they talk about civic education. Now make we say that's all an institution that has not been doing anything. Dysfunctional institution. They don't spend billions of leons. Parliament should be investigating them right now to find out how they spend their money. Why would you allocate a standing allocation to an institution that is not the result of the creation of Parliament? It's different from president appoint somebody as a political appointee and the president creating a standing institution and MDA without parliamentary approval. Now 4 years to 5 years later, Parliament is debating a law to make it a legal entity. So this in as much as, for example, APC supporters are concerned about the internal politics of the party, when I find out that internal politics they are the result of the corruption and the bad leadership that you've experienced in Parliament. If a parliamentarian, especially a parliamentary leader, been serious about democracy, that the country democracy on a political party, your opposition party will not be the way it is. When Anas Kuruma and others were in Parliament, leading the opposition in Parliament, the APC, even though the Medina court, they may not become dysfunctional. This is the first time in the history of the APC, in its last 60 years history, that the first time is when I get to a political party, they not get ward executive, they not get no executive. Uda Dua, that the court Dua, the very court will take away 10 APC MPs and replace them with SPP MP. And the very court dismantle a standing executive and take the party and give to Chairman Ramadan Majuba and Alfred Peter Conte. We tell us the 21-man committee is not just Alfred Peter Conte. It is a committee, majority of whom are made up of members appointed by a parliamentary leader. For how many months would they call out the same committee? Tell me how then a problem. So we don't even know whether some of them don't go to church in their heart. But the problems in the party, the dysfunctional nature of the party, the fact that the party not get executive has to be blamed on a parliamentary leader. And the first time under your own leadership as a leader of parliament, when a party did not able to function. And he has the power to make sure the courts also function accordingly. The parliamentary power, the parliamentary numbers of the opposition will allow that to make the institution of government function if we will exercise checks and balances. They refuse because the disabling of the party is serve their interest. They still have their flag bearer ambition interest. When I go for to check that, in as much as you are fighting to take your party, when I make sure so you are not fight for nothing, they end up the same people who try for corrupt and destroy a party, end up for hijack when I don't struggle. Watch out for that. And Connie Rabbit politicians will always be Connie Rabbit politicians. Politics of witchcraft, we don't talk about operating in the shadows, in the dark. This is why with all these things that happen, they call meeting, they do not attend. Then, so we cannot prolong the discussion. I just wanted to provide this overview and ask the citizens of Sierra Leone for pay attention to these last days of Parliament. Make we see waiting Parliament they try to do before this Parliament are closed. Already, we don't get...
I just want to interrupt you quickly. When you say...
The worst cannot be worse than this. Parliament we don't help for pass a currency law, we don't destroy. Help destroy the economy. Approve a bank governor who was a politician who said when he's coming to be bank governor, his main responsibility will be to harass opposition.
Sorry guys, can you hear me?
Commodity.
Yeah,
they strengthen the Anti-Corruption Commission. Up to now, which anti-corruption do? Now for harass opposition. The same way the bank governor say in fiscal policy we target opposition. We don't come out, we don't get a situation where we side and give more power to the electoral commission for change the electoral rules. Prevent the people there, including opposition supporters, mostly not for people for register. We don't count a situation now. It's time for to destroy opposition parties at the country. They don't give PPRC, they try to give PPRC more power for do what they do so without law. Can parliament this?
China, I don't know if you're
a politician and this. You must be part of government. You must be in favor of the dictatorship that Madabio has created, the unconstitutionality that Madabio has created, the crisis and the corruption which Madabio don't create. Otherwise, you will not be passing all these laws. So I want to stop there. I tell you thank you and say feel free to bring me again anytime for add on to the conversation. And I want to salute you now for the good work I don't do all this time.
Chino, can you hear me? Chino?
Okay. Cashbox, go ahead.
That gets me?
Yeah, would it get you?
Okay, is Chino there? I don't know if you hear me because
yes, I do.
Okay, I just want to clarify something quickly because we of course like the frustration with the parliament, especially the opposition parliament. You made mention about saying like when they call meeting, they attend. Just for clarifier, because I know what makes it seem like people are confused. The thing where Alfred Peter Conte they talk like I say when he call meeting, then they come. So I just want to make you clarify that.
No, not that.
I know, but I just want to make you clarify because
we already don't talk as say from the beginning. If people in the listening, people that know say we talk say the Alfred Peter Conte group, although we don't highlight the infractions of in fact where the opposition was really serious and the opposition parliamentarian be really serious, they would not have had somebody like Alfred Peter Conte taking over their party. We not talk about this long time ago. The fact that the power was really in the hands of the parliamentary leader of the opposition, where for them prevent the APC from going into this abyss, this status of comatose where they cannot function as a party. How do you explain the fact that you have a political party that is the majority in parliament, then that party has no executive? But now we talk about, look, even for trying to get an executive is a problem. For a political party that has that's the leading opposition in parliament, you get the party, get no standing executive structures. When the party structures were dismantled, they shiver into two halves. One half for Alfred Peter Conte, the other half for Cherry Coco. Now they sit on and watch. Now, thanks to your pressure, now make you see now young people and everybody don't come out for trying to take the party. So this is not an excuse for any of these factions. As far as me concerned, I had already said both the Alfred Peter Conte group and the group that represents Cherry Coco that are the destructive elements within the party. And we will not talk say they have to be set aside. So it's encouraging to see young people coming up and trying very hard for straight internal party democracy in the APC. What I'm going to warn and remind them of, as soon as they do so, when I see even the parliamentary leader, that's what I'm referring to. When he's called into meetings, he's not coming. Because I don't hear the complaints that he has not been even attending the meeting in the party. And even in the people, we don't have the evidence whether he was there when they called the peace process, the ONS and all, few days ago, when people were meeting to talk about how to straighten up the APC. He's behind the scenes. And even now with this crisis, he's supposed to say something. Because Naina hold the majority stake in the party. So why that is important to remind the young people and women and young people where they come off and say they want democracy at the party, which is something that is right. We don't the things that we don't do long time ago. For remind them, make sure you are not being used as proxy. Make people not hijack una genuine intention for democratize the party and get the party functional. So that's what I'm trying to say. Not to Alfred Peter Conte meetings and all those other things. They are the problem in the party. Of them.
Thank you. Yeah. No, I know.
Thank you for bringing my attention. Sometimes people then go hang on to something you say and misrepresent that. But I think have become very clear in terms of what I've on this question for the last 6 months, since May.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you. Kashi, great points. You know, Brother Chenoba, you see, when you listen to the definition of democracy, when you look at it, it says it's the power of the people, for the people, and by the people. And it goes back to even with this NASED, this MDA where they non form now, where they want for make clear become a legal entity because they know say they violated the constitution, so that they go back retrospectively now for saying, you know, hey, let's begin correct all we mistakes then by before governments change, then can hold we culpable of committing a crime. But when you look at the definition of democracy, it's the power of the people, for the people, and by the people. And this is why this education is very important. So they give people a civic education. It goes to these people, taking all of these little points that we've been making. How you get a NASED, an organization, you know, even Sabi Uden at the head of the NASED, because when you say civic education, what for the student they do, it was the fact that in there across the country, they have a platform where we hear them, they teach people about them basic responsibilities, teaching them about their civic responsibilities. Matter of fact, the director of NASED, I want to say, if it's a section 13 of the Constitution, we get to do with the duties of a citizen. Just with that day alone, let it go across the country and teach people and what's their responsibility and duties. But anyways, you know, let me bring in you know the folks, guys. Comrade, what you got for say? I know say, Kashi, you want to take up from Musa? You ask a question there. You want to expound on them? Then we'll bring in Comrade and People's Power later on.
No, come in.
Okay. Comrade, go ahead and come on in. People's Power, you know the flows out there. You meet me fine in the middle of the conversation, but I'm sure you get the trajectory. Comrade, go ahead. Come on in.
I think Comrade, they're on mute.
Yes, Comrade, you're mute.
I can come in. Yeah. I think I'm good. I'm good, Comrade Ibrahim.
Okay.
You see, like, you did talk so like with all within chain or no highlights now about the bills that we don't pass. You know, this is what we've been saying, Ibrahim. We're not sitting here trying to make up stories. You know, like for make any country better, you know, in line with the parliament. Because you see, Ibrahim, we're waiting people like naturally, we human beings are selfish. Naturally. You see, this is the reason why, you know, every time we talk about parliament, not to say we want kind of like, you know, try for have a go at them or try for pick on anybody, like for instance, Cherry Coco. Because this is how people interpret it these days. But Ibrahim, people have to realize that human beings naturally, they're very selfish beings. It is all about them. Even though the most unselfish person in the world, trust me, it gets a little bit of selfishness, it gets a little bit of self in them. And because of that reason, Ibrahim, that it make it fine for make you get parliament, where they actually checkmate you, where you want to go outside your boundaries. And we don't see so many times now we country, you know, boundaries, they don't be broken, they don't be even kind of like burned, they don't even burn down, they don't even kind of like destroy them. The bridges them, we actually kind of like the lead between the people and the government. The bridges them all don't be burned down, Ibrahim. You know, people get to realize, say, for make Salon better, a day in the hands of parliament, especially when you think about Africa. Especially when you think about Africa, because these guys always in the thing about Ibrahim. Like if you don't accept this NASED, is it NASED or so? When they go open this commission, when they go open, so it is just for create job for their henchmen, them as well. Try to create job where not exist, Ibrahim. They talk about civic education, which is good and all that today. But Ibrahim, realistically, when you go look, it is just about creating jobs for people. Because if you go just go and check also the benefits there with all this commission. Because look, Ibrahim, every commission or any institution where they open, it must get benefits to the country.
Yeah.
Directly. No indirect benefits on it. And I tell you, any commission where they form that the country must get like direct benefits to the country. And it affects lives then. And economically as well, it affects we. So this is the reason why for make parliament they sit up the past like the political party act and all that in Ibrahim. These are dangerous things that like when they talk about the budget when they go approve. You don't approve budget. The person where gets like an oversight, like you don't get rid of them. You don't get rid of the auditor general. Salon people they don't understand the magnanimity of this whole thing, Ibrahim. It is dangerous. It is very, very dangerous to a country. People like in the play, people like they say, oh, there's some big politics. Before they sack this auditor general, Ibrahim, we had intelligence that these guys are playing games for getting rid of the woman. They say, oh, the woman don't be the account for the reason why they said the woman don't be paid to the consolidated fund, Ibrahim. But year in, year out, this woman was audited, or like the audit services has been audited by an audit firm, an independent audit firm, where this and the government they pay for years, Ibrahim.
Absolutely.
The audit firm where the government they pay, the previous audit firm that the PAC, where we did a smart firm by Wilkinson Road. They don't change the auditor. I don't forget I think you see I think the new auditor now it starts with D. I don't actually forget. Ibrahim. So this auditor, they be audited by an independent auditor where the government is not in the pay. And then this independent auditor, when they audit services, they report to the government. For years, Ibrahim. Now, only when the one gets rid of them, when the auditor general one can talk about the timber money, when they missing the previous audit report, now they say they can get rid of the woman. When the woman, one can talk about, like they tell me, remember, what's in the Africanist press say, when Cherno, that points about the first lady, the money the way it on thief. When you go inside the audit report, like they tell you, say no bank statement, no cash book, no financial statement be produced by the office of the first lady. So just about where the lady become kind of like they're about for ask them this information, they got rid of her. And the sad thing, Ibrahim, waiting people need to pay attention to, and we've been saying this over and over, the timber will be lost. The office of the first lady, when they not be produce the account, they were meant to produce it now. The last audit report, they did not, and then they got rid of the woman. Right? Some people them do not know the magnitude of this thing, how it affects we. They allow them to play game. They see people them stupidly. They say President Bione go unopposed. Then over with dead body there, Ibrahim. Ibrahim, seriously, sometimes the way I feel, it's like I go take, the B 52 or so. Go bomb all the useless politicians there.
I'm telling you.
Even the one who open a dirty mouth, say President Bion for go second term unopposed.
Yeah.
Because some of these things are painful. You can see it clearly. They got rid of this auditor general.
Matter of fact,
ask question about the timber.
Matter of fact,
question about the first lady. When they say no, we produce the account. Let me go to page 434 or so. Now that the 2019 audit report, it clearly see the first lady not produce financial statement, no bank statement, a cash book. And remember, Africanist Press, we don't already highlight the corruption within the office of the first lady.
Right.
Just to make this auditor general now can pull the information in now. You remember, Ibrahim, we just before the audit report come out, we harassed her saying that we expect the timber and the first lady for the audit report.
Absolutely.
So I get intelligent. She was pushing for those information. So from the government. So what did they do? Because they don't want to produce them, they don't want to make the people see. What did they do? They got rid of her.
Right. Because
the parliament sits by, but again, with what Comrade always say, bulldozing, now not be part of the constitution now.
Yeah.
These things, they're really frustrating.
Yeah.
How country go operate so? It's like I say we don't get structures. And parliament cannot act down. They go tell you, say, oh, no, don't understand this government. This government now undemocratic government. Then why parliament, when a part of democracy exists?
Absolutely.
Why can't you guys let them people there make them become complete undemocratic? Walk away from the parliament. Why? They kind of like create a false thing when not exist. Now the calls for many people are still if they say Salon a better country. Let we expose these guys. We did for expose them, and then we told Salon a new page. But because we're not in a parliament, so people will think that democracy exists. If we're not listening on democratic government, why not they when it comes to make parliament, it's like I said, democracy they existed. Why? Then it means you guys are party to this mess.
Of course they are.
Over to you, Brian.
You know, when you get a parliament that is filled with a lot of people, where I believe it's Somango Parliament and everyone they open up the constitution for reading and understand, what their roles and responsibilities are, and their responsibilities to the people, the welfare of the state as a whole. And they don't even understand the gravity of what it's like to be a member of parliament with a number one responsibility now for protect the constitution itself. That is why we get to get elected today. Kashi, you said something about even the people who say President Bill would go unopposed. This goes back to what we talk about, the civic education. This NASED, this organization, if they really do their work, Sierra Leone enough for even talk that what they say, go unopposed in a democratic state, in a democratic society. You're talking about autocracy. So let's come back to the civic education. People don't even understand what it's like, for being a democracy. That is the responsibility of this NASED. But they've not been doing their work, anyways. Now, money, no money they pass with. But, Brother African Express, Kashi, with everything you said about the Auditor General, there was one thing where African Express mentioned in the closing where I want to go back to. This was when, after the Sambaya Bendugo election, with all the violence, and we see the posture of Dr. Sambora Kamara, where they be even go blocking in motorcade, and then be even say at that point the government be even get some snipers them, we allegedly be there about the place, where they be I think it was just the word go then for take out Dr. Sambora Kamara and all the other people that will be there with them, that entourage day for go towards Sambaya Bendugo. And with all of that challenge with Dr. Sambora Kamara go through, then Parliament, Cherikoko gonna Parliament, instead of bringing up those situations, then with the way the police then be handle the situation, block people and not forget access for coincide, the stabbings, the killing, where then kill some of the APC supporters. Them they don't even talk about that stuff now. All that and don't all the stabbing will take place. We see them body with left.
And Ibrahim, that's in the way that's somebody that do way you talk about. So not only that, the very thing way like even Abdul Kago gets like a case where they even the guy for direct. Not only then go catch them, the women's leader and
right. Mohamed Bangura. Thank you. Then Cheriko go to map na parliament. I make go Cheroba talk that side. I said this one I'm gonna take these notes because we have to visit this again. Then for like Cheriko, somebody when I be the running mates to Dr. Samora Kamara, where you think say as the leader of the opposition would be so mad, it go vex, bad one for waiting out and treating people and they where it be say in interest for be APC. It go back, it go team up na the well of parliament, it praise neck. Instead of even highlighting the sacrifices of people like Dr. Samora Kamara, Mohamed Bangura, the woman chairlady, and all the APC supporters, then we stand the ground for secure the victory that Sambaya Bendugo. You see, when Brother Cheroba said that thing, it goes back to people, and when we come now, we tell and say, Chenoba of the APC as the leader of the opposition is not fit for purpose anymore. I know they say this thing slightly. This is not somebody where, if he be genuine to APC, everything with the African Express to the publications and all the findings, all the corruption of this government, this man would have easily walked into the State House this 2023 with the cast himself as the president of Sierra Leone, because he gets all the ammunition where he need for take down the SLPP. We intend the Amarabayu for the Marabi for even get face for the go across the country in a serious country with serious opposition. This man failing responsibility to the people of Sierra Leone.
But Ibrahim, we can always say one thing: if we begin serious opposition in that country, trust me, Marabi for the shame for campaigning right now.
Absolutely.
With everything we don't go to that country, Ibrahim.
Absolutely.
The killing, the thievery, Ibrahim. If we get serious opposition, the bastardization of the constitution, Ibrahim. If we begin serious opposition, trust me, when the people are well informed, Ibrahim, we don't do we own. But we all know how this government they play with social media. Begin to talk like I say, oh, that's also propaganda, they that's social media and all that. Yes, some people are conscious for realize say, no, it is true. But most people, they paint that picture there, Ibrahim. So the people that wait for to make this thing become more credible could have been the parliamentarians.
Of course. No. especially in the eyes
Because
of the
see, Ibrahim,
international community, right? The international community listen to people like myself. But again, what platform are we coming from? And so it's different. So like Brother African Express, now we got making that area, that platform that we get that voice and people in the area. And then no say this man is the most credible journalist Sierra Leone has ever produced. And then when you come to like we platform over the past 4 years, Cashbox, we get all kind, the little riff raffs in there, they can't talk what they want for talk. But people at this particular point able to make a decision for understand say we platform, this platform, the Sierra Leone Victims Advocate Network, where we get so Salvan. This platform, they no say when we come now, we talk about nationalistic issues. They no say we don't care about nobody in personality or waiting. We no say we are talking for Sierra Leone the future, not only for now but for generations here on board. They no say we not the sugarcoat nothing. They no say we not the can lie pan and buy anything. We bring the fact as we see them and analyze the information properly for them to comprehend, which is what we do so delicately right now. In Cashbox, I'm going to go back to that point with Cherry Coco. I think the APC people and the APC as a party, for start for begin for think now how this man, for go back now parliament. After 15 years, you don't have living purpose. You don't even understand what he did it for again. You don't forget say he did it for serve the people. The people of the Brookfields, the Temberton, I think say it's enough. When I take on a symbol back, there is no way this man for go inside parliament anymore because that parliament needs a total overhaul. Some people, when we see when I picking them food they rotting, they and they rotting. Beleoman them still we get the highest infant mortality rate. We get one of the highest maternal mortality rate. We mean say Beleoman and they go born and they die. Infant mortality rate picking they die at a very early age because of malnutrition and all of this stuff. Una no go blame just the government of the day like we brother Chernobasi. It is these members of parliament as well the responsibility. When you don't ever see a member of parliament go work on a connaught, when you don't see a member of parliament go work on a cottage hospital, when we don't see members of parliament go around the country just for go check the prison systems, check the police stations them, see whether they're in jail, we're not supposed for the day. We they see young bobo and the thief pepper and go lock them in jail for 5-7 years, they not even go see court. These responsibilities lies with parliament. Now try nobody talk now. So instead of parliament doing the work for the people for save the soul of the nation, instead what then continue for do now for continue for help this government for pass terrible laws them we go for destroy the democracy, take away our basic rights. Then they talk about the wage bill for increase our livelihood. Only the people who support some of these politicians, both SLPP and APC and every other political party. Now on our responsibility for letting ourselves care for ourselves as a people. But if you the people do not even know our own interest, we don't even know what's in the favor on they allow these members of parliament for continue for do what they want for do because Brown envelope the pass. Ghana must go back the Ghana parliament. Una continue for suffer. Una generations here unborn that the same struggles every day. Una they run for go Dubai, una they run for go ya, una they run for go overseas, go through Temple Run, Mediterranean Sea, they go drown at the una did all of these things. Everybody's trying to run away.
The bribe we dey talk about parliament, the bribery within the parliament. The person we King Ho buy motoka for now that not to parliament, yeah.
Yes.
We're not doing correctly in ECOWAS right now.
ECOWAS parliament.
It was not Cherry Coco wait till we first we blow the whistle and say the King O deal was rushed.
You know what he do?
Upon.
Because if one pass over it, now he Allah. Yeah. I see he Allah, they don't say, oh, the man don't finish, but we okay, log get this now, which is every for game. We know these things, we just don't have the evidence yet.
Like the King O. Osai Cherry Coco ever talk about it, Ibrahim?
Kashi.
The people alive them seriously. Selected few they make money out of the people and the people in demise, Ibrahim. How people in the sleep, how people in feel say we just want to attack any body personality. God only knows, Ibrahim.
No, because they are myopic in their thinking. They don't open up their mind. Again, Section 13B of the Constitution makes it very clear that every citizen shall cultivate a sense of nationalism and patriotism, and your loyalty should lie to the state, not to your section, ethnic, regional, sectional, or any other loyalties. It is in the Constitution as a duty of the citizen. And until these people start to think this way, Kashi, that's all I want for people to think like. So when we call Kande Yumkela, because Kande Yumkela go for go now up and down, we're going to talk about the gender bill, because, the gender bill don't pass. But go tell you now, waiting brother African Express don't can tell you now this morning, no. All the other bad laws, the PPRC, the regulation, and on to turn from, registration to regulation, the NASED, the Political Party Act, all of the bad laws them way for stop people like myself. We sometimes tomorrow, if the APC one misbehave, we say they go, we say we'll register with one political party. Yes, right now we'll not register them because we don't have to take votes away from the APC because the votes could come out from the north and the northwest. I know that for sure. If I get a political party in the south, then would I go benefit? Now the SLPP because then get for keep them voting at the southeast. So all of that they are look at and say, I'm not going to register my own political party. But it's going to get to a point, I need to have a say. We have to have a say. Because when we day in a position with the international community go listen to what we get for say, that is all we need. But people say, go ahead and, we don't do 1 hour, 13 minutes. People say, Rob Motspa, which you hear from Brother African Express. Let we take up from there.
I think people say, left we actually.
Oh, good. Okay. All right. Cool. Well, Kashi, I think say, Channel by one closer for we. Let's close this. And then we'll tell bye-bye to Fambolem. Closer for we, brah. Intentional by himself don't sleep. Salon don't see you people. Man, early morning so you sleep not clear yet. And yes. Yeah. All right. Well, all left then, Kashi. All left for that. I think the message is very resounding, and people go wanna listen and share all over the place. They wanna learn from this. We'll come back to hopefully by Monday by God in power. Everybody have a nice weekend. Wanna take care of yourself. Yeah.
Yep.
Bye-bye.
Bye.